I was gonna say it's dead hands, but he's very much still alive.
Nah, he ain't dying.
He's not dying.
He ain't going nowhere.
Exactly.
Mala nunca muere.
Here is the think tank, and normally we bring up ideas of things that we want to see come to fruition, but this is something I want to see come to fruition. I want to see, which is an oxymoron, strong Democrats. Can we see this happen? And basically, we need strong Democrats to step up. If Biden is the president, if Nancy Pelosi is the House Speaker of the House, if we have Chuck Schumer as the leader, which means you have all three branches, can we do this?
Last week, the Justice Thomas is happily accepting generous favors from right-wing millionaire Harlan Crow of Trammell Crow Construction fame and fortune. Along with giving millions of dollars to the Republican Party and right-wing hit groups like Swift Vote Veterans for Truth, Harlan Crow has also lavished Justice Thomas with tens of thousands of dollars in gifts, including a $15,000 Bible that once belonged to Frederick Douglass. Crow also cut Justice Thomas's wife a $500,000 check so that she could start her very own Tea Party lobbying group firm dedicated to repealing Obamacare. A case, by the way, that her husband will likely decide when the Supreme Court determines the constitutionality of the health reform law in coming months. So we can now add this misdeed to the laundry list of bad behavior by Justice Thomas, from unethical fundraising to not disclosing his wife's right-wing income to obvious conflicts of interest on the bench, all of which are clear violations of the Federal Code of Conduct for judges. The only problem is the justices on the Supreme Court have exempted themselves, and themselves alone, from that code of conduct. Presidents can and have been impeached. Members of Congress can and have been expelled for bad behavior. And the Constitution of the United States says, quote, the judges shall hold their office during good behavior. Behavior, by the way, capitalized, end quote. So isn't it time for we the people to enforce the Constitution and have the Supreme Court as answerable for bad behavior as are the President and Congress? Shouldn't we encourage Congress to begin proceedings for impeachment of Justice Clarence Thomas? Here to offer.
Can the Democrats impeach a Supreme Court justice?
Sure. They can. They won't.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agreement.
That they won't? Felipe, you think they won't?
Oh, no. God, no.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, listen.
Good idea. It's a good chess move, which means the Democrats won't do it because they're not good at the political chess.
Yeah.
They're not good at winning.
Yeah.
They're good at losing. So that means that they're just not going to do anything.
I mean, they're good at chess when it comes to progressives.
Yeah. So let's look at the flip side real quick. We saw how Mitch McConnell, Scalia died, and it was time for Obama to put the third. It would have been his third appointee. And Mitch McConnell just kept, not filibustering is not the right word, but he just kept delaying. And we know if it's November 2nd and God forbid RGB passes, knock on wood, I mean, the day before, Mitch McConnell would get somebody in there, Tom Cotton or somebody, we saw the list recently, Ted Cruz would get it. It's crazy how strong the Republicans can be when they want something. But here is something glaring. We could get the public support because of what Mitch McConnell did to Obama. We could easily get public support for getting Clarence Thompson out of there. Or we could threaten putting his wife or him in jail and make him resign.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I've been... What's the opposite of fan? I can't stand Clarence Thomas and a lot of the conservatives, but Clarence Thomas specifically, because of all these conflicts of interest and the fact that the Supreme Court exempt themselves from all the rules that the lower courts have to abide by is just ridiculous. Like they don't have to, or they decide how much they could release in their annual statements or whatever about their travel and their investments, how much they want to or not release at all. They could even decide when and where people could protest outside the building when, the other courts, they try to enforce some kind of freedom of speech or whatever. But when it comes to the Supreme Court, it's basically like they're gods or something, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I also don't know that there's I don't know that there's any like actual proceedings, like anything written in the Constitution about how to proceed with an impeachment of a Supreme Court justice. Obviously, it does say in there that they should have to abide by good behavior, but outside of that, I'm not really sure what what the legal avenue even is there.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Back onto that though,
go ahead, Felipe.
That would just leave it up to the House Oversight Committee to lead and set their own impeachment rules. They can decide it takes 51 votes to get rid of Clarence Thomas, and it takes XYZ rules to get there. You need no hearings. They could decide all of those rules. It's not written in the Constitution, but it's in the powers of the Congressional Oversight Committee.
I don't know if any Supreme Court justices have gone through this, but lower court justices, they have gone through this and they have been expelled or whatever. So they could follow something similar easily.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, the problem that we have is Republicans know that people are uninformed when it comes to the Constitution and when it comes to politics. So they get away with murder. There was a clear violation of the Constitution, and you would talk to Republicans that they were like, oh no, no president, no judge has ever been appointed during a presidential race. And they took over a year to do that. So they drive that message and people will like believe it.
One thing with Clarence Thomas that is like extra appalling, like, is all the work that his wife does, like the mention in the video. She's always worked with Republican causes, and even to the point of working on things that the Supreme Court is involved in, and Thomas doesn't recuse himself. And one thing that I found out was that she was actually working for the Heritage Foundation at the time when the 2000 election was going on and it was being debated in the Supreme Court. She was working with the Bush administration at the time to decide on hirings for the transition team and stuff like that. Wow. So even though she was working directly with one of the litigants, Clarence Thomas never recused himself.
Exactly.
And that is appalling. She's also did the same thing with Trump. She was part of involved with hiring people because she's just like Trump. She's really big on loyalty. So she was part of the vetting process of who Trump was going to hire. And so she's so ideological that it's not even funny. I mean, it's to the point that on her Facebook she was posting memes about George Soros, being anti-Semitic memes about George Soros trying to, fund a coup against Trump and stuff like that. So she's like, Tea Partier, this close to QAnon type person, and she's the wife of a Supreme Court justice who won't recuse himself from anything that has to do with things that she's involved in. I mean, it's ridiculous.
This is why we need term limits. This is why we need term limits for all of them. Like this whole lifetime.
Shoot, I mean that would be interesting. Maybe 20-year 20-year term limit. I don't know, 10, 15 years. I don't know if that would do it, but
I don't think it will make a difference. I just think that there has to be rules about conflict of interest and be enforced, and not just let it slide.
That's the thing. Matter of fact, let me throw this last. I just want to show this last part.
To resign for doing. Case in point, as I mentioned, Abe Fortas, Judge Abe Fortas, an associate justice, just like Clarence Thomas, on the Supreme Court, just like Clarence Thomas. He was actually nominated by a Democrat, by Lyndon Johnson, to be the Chief Justice in 1968. But after it was uncovered that Fortas received $15,000 from American University to lead seminars, sort of like Thomas taking speaking fees, and another $20,000 from a law firm for consulting services, sort of like Thomas's wife taking $500,000. Fortas was forced to resign.
I mean, this just shows how the Overton windows keeps creeping to the right. It keeps creeping towards corruption, and people don't even blink an eye at it.
We really have to control the narrative there because what he says right after that, you just thought that clip was that you want
me to play it? You want me to play it?
Yeah, well, he just says right after that clip he chose to resign. So it's a lot different than being forced to resign.
Good point.
So, it really has to do with morality in that case. And we all know that Republicans these days have zero. So they're not going to choose to resign at all.
That's why, honestly, I totally agree with you guys. The Democrats are not strong enough. That's why I said it's an oxymoron. Strong Democrat is a oxymoron and it will never happen. And I think, real quick, John, and I think that the best way we can do it is hopefully get some strong Democrats in there and then it'll have to be behind the scenes that we can put so much pressure on them that they have to resign. It's like either you go to jail or you resign. You decide, and that'll be the compromise. Go ahead, John.
No, the thing is, we're going to get the People Party started, And that's how we going to start making moves, try to bring in our candidates in and have them be representative of the people and start making moves like this. Yeah, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
But I think it's something in the right movement. And once that party start getting in and we start getting candidates to win, we're definitely going to start seeing changes. Yeah, it may take 10 years, but slow process. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Anybody? Go ahead, Fupe.
More important than time, though, for another third party like the People's Party to come up and be successful, ranked choice voting is much more important. That gives breadth to third parties and really gives them the viability to succeed instead of being scared or bullied down by the two large parties.
And that's our segue into our next segment.
Exactly. So let us know in the comment below. Do you think my idea that we can actually get back a seat from the Supreme Court from Mitch McConnell's, I was going to say his dead hands, but he's very much still alive.
He ain't dying.
He's not dying.
He ain't going nowhere.
Exactly. Man. So hopefully, can we get back a Supreme Court? I think we could get normie Democrats on board if we can promote this somehow, because you could promote it in a way to say, oh, we're getting revenge for Obama. All the people that love Obama, we could try to do something like that. But tell me in the comments below, like and subscribe.